We're sitting here with Eryk Pruitt, an author, who has just published a new novel called Hashtag. He already has a novel called Dirtbags, and we're going to talk about an event that is happening Thursday, June 19th, right?
Thursday, June 18th.
June 18th, tomorrow, tonight, depending on when you're watching this, at 6:30. Yeah, or it already happened, at the bar at 106 Main at 6:30. If I drove across, what did I drive across recently? East out of Dallas towards Shreveport, Louisiana and stuff. Is that kind of where you're talking about?
Yeah, you'd want to drop a little south. Going to school in Nacogdoches, bars closed at midnight.
Nacogdoches.
So, but we knew that in an hour and a half we could be up in Shreveport and Bossier where they got the boats. You can gamble and drink all night as long as you're playing. So sometimes when you get off of work at the restaurant, you got to be like, dude, I need more than just 1 hour's worth of drinks. You know, let's go to Bossier, let's go to Shreveport. But yeah, that's
you'd hop in the cars and roll out there, and that's where you went to high school and stuff too.
College, high school. I went to school in a suburb of Dallas, which is still East Texas. It's like 30 miles south of Dallas.
Yeah, I bet back then that wasn't like suburbia, was it, or was it?
It was right there on the cusp. We were rural, becoming suburban.
Interesting.
So it was it was a really neat process to watch where, it's my house and then just fields and fields and fields until, a couple, about 5-10 miles away, you get to the highway. And then, now, over my lifetime, street, and then pretty soon it's just nothing but neighborhoods, walking through people's backyards and stuff.
So fast. And you were telling us how you used to get 2 newspapers back then, and I guess right to the house. Right?
I delivered one, but we delivered for the Dallas Times-Herald, which went out of business, leaving only the Dallas Morning News. But we were getting them both evening and afternoon.
So those 2 newspapers he was getting are interconnected to the story I was asking, which is how does somebody start writing about serial killers? I mean, Eryk was asking us beforehand if he could say shit and curse and stuff, and he's like, I write about some dark topics, right? I was like, oh, I hear you, brother. Tell me the story. How did you start writing about these dark topics in the 2 newspapers and all?
I took a real curious interest in those killers, and it started with, I think the first one I heard of was the mass murderer, Donald James Huberty, out of San Ysidro, California. While he's like in the 80s, he walks into a McDonald's and just starts wiping people out with machine guns. And I was maybe 8, 9 years old, and I had to know how that happened. Like, how do people do that? What's the process?
Like, you get the paper before your parents see it, like, kind of deal? Because I could just see my parents being like, I remember the LIRR guy who shot a bunch of people on the train. I was a little more in high school then, but, like, how you just saw it before your parents stopped you, or they didn't even think about it?
I don't guess they really thought that it was going to do what it ended up doing. But, boy, man, if they could build a time machine now. But no, yeah, I got both of the newspapers. I found every news show that was just before TiVo, so you actually had to time when you switched the channel. And I just drank it up, and then that turned into I wanted to know more about Charles Manson. Bugliosi just died. He wrote Helter Skelter. I must have read it a dozen times in high school. I
hear Eryk has an encyclopedic knowledge of serial killers. So
baseball card up in here.
Who's the Kansas City guy he had a dog? He was a dog catcher or something. He would go into
BTK.
BTK, yeah. BTK, that's his thing. That one really sketched me out. I was telling Josh and Eryk earlier, I can't quite, I'm scared. You wrote about some scary stuff. How do you not freak yourself out when you know all this stuff is out there?
I have freaked myself out. Like I was telling you, that all of that information, all of that, how many people did Manson kill versus how many people did Bundy kill? Bundy was, all that stuff is, you have to be able to do something with it. You're not going to get a girl with it. Nobody's gonna hire you, based on. So you had to do something with it, and so that's where Dirtbags comes in.
Right. So Dirtbags has a little bit of that story because the main character has something of an encyclopedic knowledge of serial killers. Do you write this stuff alone by yourself?
Oh, you don't think Lana sits in the room with me, do you?
No way, man. But
she finds excuses.
I mean, I feel like, the dark well that I go down to write my fiction in general, I mean, and I'm not even talking about serial killers, it's amazing to think that you can dig into yourself this way. And I don't know, do the people know that you do film work as well? You were telling us you're almost finished with a film on a short story of yours. You want to?
We are finishing up with a film called The Hoodoo of Sweet Mama Rosa. We filmed it last year. A lot of folks around here were very, very generous to help us fund it with Indiegogo. Thank you.
So the people probably know about it if you gave to the Indiegogo.
We're sound mixing. Actually, I leave here. I'm going to go to Piper Kessler, who is mixing the sound. And then we're pretty much done. We'll start entering it into film festivals and screening it.
This isn't your first foray into film, though, right?
No, sir. No, sir. We did.
You've been, I hear he's like award-winning, right? Josh took us to the Carolina Theater to hear people talk about your awards.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah, that was fun. At Carolina Theater just a couple of weeks ago, we did with the 2 shorts in a feature program that the Triangle Film and Video community put together. That was the film Disengaged, a horror film directed by Christopher G. Moore, who also directed our first film, Foodie.
I've heard of Foodie. I bet the Durham community knows that one.
Yeah, Foodie won like 8 awards across the country. Disengaged, I think, just won its 8th award. So those folks like the horror. Folks like the horror films. So.
Yeah. You're not the only person who was apparently sitting around reading the newspaper, thinking about serial killers and why they did it. And you were telling us some interesting stories about some of the people who are going to be coming to Noir on the Bar. You said David Terra Noir, you read him way, way back in the day? Is that right?
Oh, yeah, like 2007. He's got a book called Beneath the Panamanian Moon. That is great. He's also a blues musician around town. You can catch him at like the Blue Note Grill.
The Blue Note. They're moving right across the street from Mercury Studios. We're sitting in the lovely Mercury Studios back room again. Now, he's somebody who's on the radar, but you were telling us the fellow right next to him, there's a story. He's a little more off the radar. You want to tell people about the first bar at the Noir at the Bar event?
We did Noir at the Bar last year about the same time. We had 7 total writers come from 4 different states. They were all pretty established.
That's over there on our little. Yeah. This was the original. I don't mean to make you keep holding props here.
This is our original artwork right here. So we had some folks come in, but yeah, when they did, I get approached by this guy, T.R.
And those people were like famous from all over the country. But Noir at the Bar is something that when you Google it, Durham is not the first thing that comes up. It says San Francisco, Denver. I believe it started in Philly, right?
Started in Philly. It was a one-time event. Then the guys in St. Louis, Jedediah Aries and Scott Phillips, they kind of made it into a thing, a regular monthly thing that happened. They got so popular. People in Baltimore, people in Philadelphia, people
Short story, Eryk's the guy who made it a thing in Durham. So Eryk's running
you guys made it the thing.
Well, yes, you, the public, the writers. It's obviously a thing that our community has loved and responded to. But you're at this first one where people from all over the country, you're saying you were telling us about a guy you really admire personally.
Steve Weddle. He wrote his book, Country Hardball, is one of the best books. Southern Noir at its finest. Really, really good book. And he's there and hanging out. And I was like, this is awesome. I got like Grant Jerkins and Peter Ferris. I've got some big guys coming out here. And yeah, I was approached by T.R. Zalesnik. And he's a smaller, older biker guy. And he's like, hey man, I want you to read my book. I want you to take this. It's perfect for one of these events. It's called Nothing But Scooter Trash.
You're into self-publishing, right? I mean, you're self-published. Many of the people you work with are self-published.
I'm not self-published.
No. All right. So this Zalesnik, though.
He just made 300 copies of a book to hand out to his friends at the biker bar, just as a joke. And he brings a copy to me, one of those 300s. He get to me and he was like, just check it out. Tell me what you think. Well, I go home, put it on my desk. Couple things pile up on top of it, and I'm not, it falls off my radar. And then one day I'm clearing off my desk and I find it, and we're putting together this event. And I was like, I wonder, and I read it and was like, holy shit, this guy.
Wait, what's it called again?
Nothing But Scooter Trash. You're only going to be able to find it through him, and finding him isn't easy because as I was trying to book him for this event, He's got no Facebook page, no Twitter. He's not in a phone book. It's not even his real name. He thanks a bike shop in there in his book in the acknowledgments. So I call up that bike shop. It's out of business. They refer me to another bike shop. Finally I get his name and run it through one of those little background things. They give you 3 phone numbers, and on the 3rd phone number, Mr. Zalesnik answered, and he said, "Man, I hadn't thought about that book in a long time." I was like, "Dude, come on out, dude, because you're gonna be perfect to party with." So yeah, he's gonna be great.
That's fantastic. Well, it's a fascinating community to think that you're interconnected with it in the horror film community, in the writing community, in the storytelling community. And we were talking a little bit about storytelling before in the pre-interview, and how you were saying in sort of a mature filmmaking way, kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but American cinema and the superheroes and the special effects domination, if you were really thinking about telling these complex stories that you tell, it's more of a European model? Or tell the people what you mean by that kind of storytelling.
Well, I mean, first off, I don't want to put down the superheroes in the sequels in the Star Wars.
Josh loves superheroes.
Yeah, I was actually kicked out of one of those comic book conventions because I admitted I'd never seen like the Lord of the Rings, and like they made me disappear. And like I don't want to make anybody angry, but yeah, American cinema really has become, in my opinion, a bunch of, it's the superheroes, the sequels, which are great and they're fun, and take your kids to, but.
But you're talking about storytelling in a way. We were talking about how the freedom of unreality, when you can, your character can fly or disappear or come back to life. When you're writing these serial killer things, and we're talking about why, you read the newspaper about a guy who went into a McDonald's with a bag of machine guns, and that shit really happened, and you were like 12. Now you're bound by the parameters of like writing some shit that somebody could really believe. I mean, that's... and that film transition, how does that go for that? How does that work? How does the mechanics work in your mind to think about, like, we're talking about the BTK killer. I mean, that guy, I feel like he would, like, go into their houses while they were sleeping and, like, I don't know, garrote them or strangle them,
Yeah,
like,
but I mean, think about it. You ever been angry at somebody? You can't just go, you can't just go walk up, get somebody a what for these days. Like, half the people are armed. But, you can just... It's real easy to imagine.
I mean, serial killers are great thinkers, right?
Place.
Real serial killers? I mean, is that true, like in the Silence of the Lambs way, that they're like people who do tons and tons of plotting and thinking about what they do? Or
some of them do. Some of them sound like idiots.
Right.
They don't do any plotting. Like
they're just mass murderers who are out there just whacking Bundy, people until they got caught?
Yeah, Bundy got caught because of a parking ticket.
Really?
But yeah. Sometimes they don't think it all the way through.
Like he just didn't pay a parking ticket?
No, he got a parking ticket. Like he was going to go kill somebody and he got a parking ticket and then didn't pay it. And
wow, and that was the causal chain of events. That is crazy.
He also broke out of jail twice, so let's give him some credit.
All right. Well, here's a man who deserves some credit, thinking about a lot of these things. I did want to let you say real quick, too, and I'll let you give all your social media hoo-ha at the end so people can find that. But Eryk's also connected to some charitable work in Durham. That's one of the ways we originally spent some good time together. I know you put together the Empty Bowls.
Oh, I didn't put it together.
Well, not put it together, but you helped participate in the creation of it. Just tell people a little bit about what this was, because one of these people was connected with Urban Ministry. Am I pointing at the right person, Brian Gilmer?
Absolutely. Brian, he is the marketing director for Urban Ministries of Durham.
And give him a little, what is his book story now? We brought him up?
Yeah, he's an old Florida reporter, so Florida guys, they see things we don't see.
Oh yeah, there's a hashtag, or I guess maybe it's a Twitter account, Florida Man. You don't want to know what Florida Man is up to, or maybe you do, but it's dark.
Yeah, he did a lot of investigative journalism in Florida. He was there covering the events when Al Gore beat what's that guy?
The other guy.
The other guy. And then he wrote 2 crime novels with that, with those journalistic skills. Felonious Jazz is, he's going to be reading from that. So he's done real great. You can go over each of these guys.
Yeah, I think that, we'll let people come and find out the stories. We've heard Zelaznik, Noir, Gilmer. We know you're great. I just wanted to connect, though, back to the charity thing real quick, just to tell people what that was about, because we had such fun doing that, and I really enjoyed getting to participate. And I want people to know that part of why we know Eryk is it's really about the community thing and these 2.5 degrees of separation where folks are connected in our community and intentional about what they do. And this man writes crazy good stories about serial killers, which are intricately bound by the rules of real life, yet he's into charity. What's up, dude?
Only one book is about serial killer. Hashtag, it's a fun romp through the South, robbing gas stations. So.
All right, robbing gas stations. I mean, come on. He's from deep East Texas. He went to college in deep East Texas. And,
Word.
So
some jacks. Urban Ministries was a lot of fun. They have the Empty Bowls. Comes out in March of every year, where a lot of the area restaurants, the cool restaurants, they donate bowls of soup. It's usually about 12 to 16 of them. And local potters make the pots. You buy a ticket, you get to hang out, try each of the soups, vote on them. There's a celebrity panel of judges. That's what I had done, was go to celebrity panels.
Yeah, I got to be on that celebrity panel. The winning soup, as I recall, this year was Ricky Moore at the Salt Box. It was fabulous.
Of course.
Another thing that reminds us of the 2.5 degrees of separation, you could read about Ricky Moore on the Clarion content on a piece that was, he was interviewed by this high schooler who was one of our interns.
Nice.
She goes to Chapel Hill High, Lauren Alston. It's a tremendous piece. It's like the innocence of youth, where she just straight up asks him like serious questions, and he takes her 100% at face value and answers them. It's really fascinating, and I really appreciate your authenticity and your storytelling and this same kind of deal. So tell the people where they can find you on the internet and where they can find hashtag. I'll tell them about Noir at the Bar, and we'll thank Josh Hart, and that'll be a wrap. So.
Excellent. A good portal to get to everything is my website is erykpruitt.com. My first name is spelled E-R-Y-K.
And Pruitt is P-R-U-I-T-T.
Absolutely. And but I am on Amazon. You can get everything from Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and then the good friends at Regulator Bookshop.
We love the Regulator. Fantastic.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, Noir at the Bar will be Thursday, June 18th at 6:30. Josh, thank you always so much on the other side of the camera. We missed Chris Vidiello today, who was working hard. Justin Laidlaw is running a basketball camp. All those Clarion content-related guys are out there working their second and third jobs so that we can bring you this kind of media. And we're happy to sit here with Eryk Pruitt and talk about this stuff. Durham, we curate your city, and we're glad to do it. Check us out at ClarionContentMedia.com. So kind of like much of who you are.
I think there's nothing weirder, that's where dangerous things, bad things happen in East Texas. Good things do, but it's weird.